preparation principle, prepare or beware. Can you talk about what matters most? And that's kind of an odd title, prepare or beware. But here's why you need to prepare. There are three parts in our brain: the unconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious. The subconscious and unconscious, if we let them run the conversation, you'll go to fight or flight. The unconscious is the protective, reactive mechanism of the brain. So if I take a swipe at your eyes with my hand, you'll probably blink and pull your head back. That's your unconscious brain saying, protect yourself, protect yourself. Blink, pull your head back. Reactive, protective. Your subconscious is a protective, illogical part of your brain. So for example, let's say if I was single and I met a new redhead in the office, and every time I had dated a redhead in the past, it had not turned out well. So I think, oh, this person seems really nice. That protective, illogical part of my brain is going to go, no, don't go there. And it may even serve me up an emotion like angst or fear and trepidation so that I don't engage. That's your subconscious. So when you actually stop and think and reason a little bit, you're in your conscious part of your brain, which is what you want to do in preparation for holding a difficult conversation. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about context. There are 5 context areas that have questions that if you take the time to answer them for yourselves, you'll help yourself to prepare more effectively. Let's go through them one by one and then I'll make an application. The first one is purpose. What is the purpose of this conversation? What do I want to have happen? What is the topic of this conversation? If you ask those questions, you increase the likelihood that you'll have a specific intention or an outcome in mind for holding the conversation. 2, who's the person? What do I know about them? How would they take a conversation in this topic? Would they handle it well or not? Do they get emotional or not? 3, what is the quality of our relationship? I like this question because it really makes me take a look at how we've interacted in the past. Or, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would I rate the trust in this conversation? Is it a 10 or is it a 2? Fourthly, you'd want to look at perception. What has been happening? Or what is happening? Or what are the facts? Now these questions help you to focus on what actually the facts are. And the reason that they're important is because oftentimes we assume that our assumptions are the facts when they're not. So it forces you to look at the cold, hard data. Finally, plan. What is the plan? What could we do? What do I want them to do? Now, I've often found in answering this question for myself that frankly, what I plan is not what the plan should be after I spend some time really holding the conversation, asking a lot of questions to discover. But at least I was prepared with what I thought a good plan would be. So I'm just not kind of flying blind. So those are the questions you would want to ask yourself to contemplate and think before you prepare. Now let me make an application. Years ago, we had just hired a new person to run our shipping department. Late on a Saturday night, I got a text from a frantic client who said they had under-ordered product that they needed at their location early Monday morning. Big problem. The shipping person was out of town for the weekend, so I went to the office, started boxing up some material to take and drop actually at FedEx so we could get there on time. I pulled the ledger off the shelf to record my transaction and noticed that the shipping person, in addition to marking down the product that was shipped, had listed the costs that should be charged for that product. And all the costs were listed the same. I was at first very frustrated and shocked. Then I started adding up what those costs should have been, because we give discounts for volume and certainty, and realized that we were probably undercharging to the tune of about $30,000 in the last 3 months. Frantically, I called our bookkeeper, woke them up out of a sound sleep to ask them if in fact they had been charging what the shipping person had been sending them. They assured me they had not. Luckily, I was relieved. Then I, went home in somewhat, I guess, an angry, frustrated, exasperation kind of mode, thinking, what am I going to do? By the time the emotion had worn off on Sunday, I started asking myself these contextual questions, which really helped me to prepare. So I thought, what was the purpose? Well, it wasn't to get them to admit that they had shipped or recorded the wrong numbers. I really realized that I wanted them to feel comfortable enough to ask questions when they didn't know answers. Because one of the things I've learned over time is when people are doing new tasks, they oftentimes have a difficult time admitting what they don't know until it's too late. So the purpose was to get them to ask questions when they didn't know something. In terms of the person, I knew this person was, quite frankly, sometimes emotional and took things personally. On the quality of the relationship, because we hadn't had many interactions together, I gave myself a low score, particularly around trust. And that helped me to realize that I would have to be careful about being respectful and giving them ample space to feel like they could answer my questions openly and that I valued them as a contributor. In terms of perception, the only perception I had was that they had shipped certain materials and had listed the wrong price. But it did tell me that they had been taking the initiative even if it wasn't part of what they were supposed to be doing. My plan was to hold a conversation and just help them to realize how important their process was to meeting our clients' needs and basically fulfilling that part of their assignment for the bookkeeping folks. I held a conversation and it went well. I felt like the tone was good, there was respect, it was a real conversation. And I knew it was because they thanked me at the end. So I'm not saying that you always have to prepare for every conversation you hold, but if the conversation has potential for difficulty, as you answer those 5 contextual questions, you need to help yourself prepare. Otherwise, you increase the likelihood that you'll engage in fake talk, and you want to hold a real conversation and get the results that you want. I hope this helps. Thanks for listening.